Start by telling me your name and your hometown at the time that you joined the Marine Corps.
Okay. My name's Carl Mullen, better known as Moon Mullen. My hometown is San Diego, California.
All right. What were you doing just before you joined the Marine Corps?
I was in high school. I graduated from high school in June of 1959 and joined the Marine Corps the 2nd of July, 1959.
Why did you join?
Well, I had an uncle that had served in the Marine Corps, fought on Iwo Jima. I had another uncle that had served in the European theater. And I had a third uncle that served aboard a Navy carrier that was sunk during the Battle of Midway. So I have a lot of influence, military influence in my family. So.
What was the specific unit that you were assigned to?
Ooh, which one? Let's see, I started out in the infantry. I served in 3 separate infantry battalions. I was in 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. And then when I first re-enlisted, I re-enlisted for aviation retraining and was slated to go to avionics school, aviation electrician. And in my aviation side, I served in probably about 7 different squadrons, 7 or 8 different squadrons, and then a few other commands within the aviation field.
What kind of training did you receive, and what was the most helpful part of that training?
Well, my training was, I went through an aviation electrician A school, which was at that time was a 24-week school to learn to be an aviation electrician, and my MOS was 6242, which means I was trained to work on helicopters and transport aircraft. It was a very, very good comprehensive education, but one of the things I remember from one of the instructors telling us in the school is you're never going to fix an aircraft with theory. It's getting out there and getting your knuckles dirty and your knuckles greasy. It's what's going to help. You'll learn to fix aircraft that way. So.
I'm not familiar, but were you in the Purple Foxes over in Vietnam?
Yes.
What was a typical day in your life? What was a typical day like during the war?
Well, my first tour in Vietnam was with HMM 364, and we were in the old French Foreign Legion compound at that time. And you know, other than just the combat side of it, it was pretty much just like a normal day in any aviation command. We got up in the morning and we had morning breakfast, and we went down to the flight line and we worked on aircraft all day. And if you happened to be in a flight status that day, I wasn't a crew chief, but I flew as a gunner with 364. You would make your flight or whatever it might be. So, you know, the idea was just to fix aircraft and keep them operational so we could complete our mission.
Did your parents approve of you serving in the military?
Pardon?
Did your parents approve of you serving in the military?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Could you put that in context, because they won't hear the question?
Well, my mother had 8 brothers. She came from a very large family, and just about all of them served in the military. On my father's side, my father didn't serve in the military, but he had 2 brothers that had served in the military. So I think I always had a very positive image of the military because of that, and especially my uncles. They were some gentlemen that I respected very dearly, so kind of influenced by that.
Okay. What was different when you got back from Vietnam?
Oh, gosh, what was different? You know, I think combat changes in everybody. I don't know if I can articulate exactly what that was, but I think you have a greater appreciation for life when you see people killed. I think I don't know how it would do that, but I think you somehow are a different person by being in combat situations. From that point on, everything else is pretty much easy. You know, that's about all I can think of, but you change.
Can you describe your feelings during combat operations?
Scared. You know, when you're being shot at, you react and you respond, and you do that just because of your Marine Corps training. I don't ever remember consciously ever thinking that, you know, oh, oh, I have to return fire here. I mean, you just do it. Somebody's shooting at you and you return fire. So, pretty automatic.
What was your happiest memory, your happiest or funniest, or if you want, saddest memory during the war?
During the war? Just the camaraderie. I mean, these are lifelong friends. These are people that I love as much as I love my sisters. So, you know, it's just something unique about being in combat with people.
What do you think your biggest accomplishment was?
Well, some of the things I got into as a young Marine, I think my biggest accomplishment was being able to serve 28 years and retire at times. I was a little bit of a hellraiser when I was younger, I guess you could say. So that's probably a pretty big accomplishment for me.
Did anything happen during the war that carried some big impact or affected you for the rest of your life?
Probably not when I was with 364. My second tour in Vietnam, I was at HMM 165 for a while, and then they transferred me into hams. And I had a period of time when my hooch had got blown up by a rocket attack, and I didn't have any place to live, so the corpsman took me, and my berthing area was right next to the corpsman. And they took me in, and I lived with the corpsman for about probably 5 months, I think. And during that time, I would very frequently, you know, like when we had incoming fire and things, I would just go out to help the corpsmen. I mean, they were my friends. So, and you know, when you see somebody that's pretty well mangled and blown up, those are things that I think you're always going to remember. You know, I remember one time going through the tent that they had set up as triage for bringing the people in, and there was a young Marine laying in bed, and literally he had been hit by a piece of shrapnel, and there was a chunk of meat taken out of his left thigh, probably about the size of a 3 or 4 pound roast. And yeah, I don't know why, but I remember that, you know.
What would you want people to know about this time in history?
Well, I have a patch on one of my jackets at home that it's a Vietnam patch, and across the bottom it says, "We were winning when I left." And I think that's what I would want people to know. We didn't lose the Vietnam War. The U.S. government lost the war by pulling out, and the people of the United States, because of their demonstrations, I mean, they said after the war, I can't recall the name right now, but we killed over 1.6 million North Vietnamese and Viet Cong, and we lost 58,000. That's not losing a war, you know. So I think that's the thing I think I would want them to know. We didn't lose the war. That was just political BS.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you would like to say or add?
Well, I think one thing I'd like to say about the squadron that we're here with is 364. I was only with 364 in Vietnam about 6 or 7 months. Probably one of the shortest tours that I ever took, but there's kind of an aura around this squadron, and I feel more connected to 364 than any organization that I served in my entire Marine Corps career. It's just, I don't know what it is. That's, you know, they get their personnel just like everybody else, just whoever happens to get sent there. But I think they're just, there's something about the Purple Foxes, and they weren't Purple Foxes when I was with them. We were before the Foxes, so it's just a fabulous organization.